You know, love doesn't always last, not with people, and certainly not with movies. Some films you fall hard for. You defend them, you put them on lists, you make other people watch them, and then one day, years later, you put them on again, and something is just different. The movie's doing exactly what it always did. You're the one who's moved on. Today, I have 10 movies that I loved, and I just don't love them the same way anymore. And one of these movies is not even really about the movie at all. So let's talk about it. Pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. All right, so 10 movies that I used to love that I just don't feel the same way about anymore. You know, it's not you, it's me kind of thing. Some of these films, though, I still like them fine. I still enjoy them, enjoy parts of them, whatever it is. A couple of them, though, I genuinely flat out cannot stand anymore. And the last one, the number one, is the one that needs the most talking about and explanation, you know, actual discourse and understanding. But fair warning, a couple of these are going to have the comment section kind of going hot, I am sure. So let's jump in and do it. Starting at number 10 with the easiest one, I have to admit, I don't even own this one because I realized this one a long time ago. And that is Dumb and Dumber. And the title kind of just, it explains it all already. There was a stretch in my life where I would have told you that Dumb and Dumber was fun. It's really funny and all of that. Not just one of the funniest movies of the 90s. It would have just been a lot of fun. But man, has that time changed? You know, my friends quoted it, hear the most annoying sound in the world, all that kind of stuff. The hot pepper, the sea bass, the Samsonite. I was way off. All of that. But if you take that now and you put it in and try to sit through it an entire runtime, it becomes rough and annoying. And here's what I want to point out about it specifically, because this isn't that like comedies like this can't exist anymore. Matter of fact, the more offensive, all that kind of stuff, yeah, bring me all that. The jokes didn't change. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, they didn't change. They are still committed to it. The movie's still the same. But man, did I change when it comes to humor like this, because the Dumb and Dumber entire premise when I was like 15 or whatever when it came out, two guys that are complete idiots, was the joke. It was the whole setup, the punchline all at once, and that was enough. Now I got, you know, even then it was pushing my boundaries a little bit. It's just like, yeah, it's funny, but kind of stupid. Now it's just stupid. It is Dumb and Dumber. Some of it still lands, the Aspen stuff. There's a little smaller reactions you chuckle at here and there. But overall, me and this film, we parted ways. This is not a, it's me, not you. No, it's you. It's you, Dumb and Dumber. All right, so the next one I'm going to be clear about before we get started, because I still enjoyed this movie. I was actually in a movie in this franchise and had a speaking line and spent 17 days working on a sequel to this, which is infinitely better than American Wedding. And this is part of the American Pie series, and this is more of a soft reversal rather than just a hard I hate this movie. But when you actually line this up against the other films in this series, like the original, I actually think part 2 might be the best, and American Reunion might be the next best, and not just because I was in it and worked on it for 17 days, and the original might be the third in line. This one doesn't hold up to it at all. It doesn't hold up to any of those. And the structural problem here is what's part of it, because this movie in this franchise works as an ensemble, and this one becomes the Stifler Show in so many ways. You know, everything in the original that you love, from Jim's dad, all that, you get parts of this, but it is really all about Stifler. And it is mainly Stifler for 90 minutes, despite the fact that that Allison Hannigan and Jason Biggs' characters are getting married and it's their wedding. It still somehow becomes the Stifler Show. And I like Sean William Scott. I enjoy the movie. There is a lot of funny bits in this. It is fun. But when you put it up against the other three in this series, the original, I'm not talking about all the spin-offs and straight to video stuff, but when you put it against the other three, it doesn't hold up, and it's just offbeat. It doesn't have the whole cast. It's missing that step. And every time I'm just not going to return to this like I am the others in this series. So I still enjoy it, but I do not like it the way that I used to. And I think that's fair, but you still get some laughs with American Wedding. Now, the next one is going to be controversial, and it's because I'm going to say things that you're not expecting with this. And I'm talking about 16 Candles. And most of you are expecting him to say, oh yeah, it didn't age well. There's different standards back then, and these scenes you couldn't do in a movie today, and they're problematic. No, that is not my problem with this movie at all. Matter of fact, let me be as clear as I can be on that point. I don't believe in judging any movie of the past by today's ever-changing, easily offended sensibilities. So movies are a product of their time. They should be. They should mark that time. They should stay that way. You should learn from them, enjoy them for what they were, a relic of their time, all of that stuff. If you followed this channel for any length of time, you already know that. My problem here is the character and the writing problem, believe it or not, with John Hughes. Because Samantha Molly Ringwald, she has a legitimate grievance in this movie, right? People are forgetting your 16th birthday, which is kind of a jerk move to do. But the problem here is, you know, despite the fact that that hurts and that's real, and I understand it completely, she never really says it. She wants to be perceived as grown up and growing up and responsible and wants this dream guy that she's after, but she's not grown up enough to sit down and like air her grievances out with her family. Like, hey, jerks, you're forgetting my 16th birthday. It's a pretty big important thing. No, she pouts, she whines the entire time. She sulks, she stews and radiates in misery rather than talking to the people who matter the most in this situation to help correctly fix this. And then at the end, the story needs her to be grown up enough to earn Jake Ryan, who, let's be honest, that would never happen in real life. Molly Ringwald just ain't there. That guy's not going to go from the girl he had and all that to Molly Ringwald. It's just not going to happen. So it doesn't feel earned or any of that. So it's not any of this, oh, it's a problem of a different era and the panties and this is wrong and that's wrong with, this character or that character or long duck dong, any of that stuff. No, none of that stuff is a problem for me. Not at all. The problem for me is stuff that you don't even talk about most of the time. And it starts with Molly Ringwald. So it just doesn't hold up for me in that regard. Okay, so the next one is one that maybe some of you would agree with me on. And you might say, how did you ever like it? Well, I was younger and it seemed like a fun prospect. That is Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan. And look, when I was younger, this was like a cool concept. We're getting Jason out of Camp Crystal Lake and he's going to New York. We're going to get to see Jason just rattling the cages of kids getting it on and doing stuff they're not supposed to all over New York City. And instead of tons of Times Square and all these things in New York that you could do, and letting loose the machete masked hockey killer on New York City, you really get Jason on a boat. That's what you get here. And I remember staring at the VHS box. I saw this at the theater, but I also remember staring at the VHS box thinking, you've got this I Love New York poster and thinking this is going to be awesome. And it's not really that at all in the movie. And this is one that I could kind of, I've been thinking about doing a list of horror VHS art that completely lied to us, and I feel like Jason Takes Manhattan completely lies to us, because it's really, he's on a boat for the most of the runtime, and it's sort of like this, not even a cruise ship, it's more like a yacht in the middle of the ocean with a handful of high school students. They don't really reach Manhattan until deep into the movie, and by that time, most of the cast is already gone. The budget is clearly gone. You get a cool part where he walks through and kicks stuff that is used a lot of times in memes and stuff like that. But look, the boat section of stuff's not bad. It's still a Jason movie, but this sold me on an idea that it didn't deliver on fully, and that is the exact thing that made VHS era marketing what it was. The box art could promise you the world that it could never afford to give you, and you had still rented it and got into it anyway. Perfect setup for that video that I'm going to do. Flat out lied to us, and for that reason, like, yeah, it's cool seeing another Jason movie, but man, going back and watching it now is kind of rough. It's always towards the bottom of my rankings. All right, next up on the list is It Chapter 2, specifically Chapter 2. And before I go further, I want to remind everyone who might be new to the channel or you've forgotten that the original It 1990 is a top 5 probably horror movie for me of all time. I love it. I love the book. I read the book every single year at least once, or listen to it on audiobook. So this movie I had high hopes for, because yeah, you don't have Tim Curry. We established that, you know, that's long past. And Skarsgård did a great job in It Chapter 1. And when that came out in 2017, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's good. It's not just tolerable. It picks up and has the essence of the book in the original movie with the kids. It bumps it up to set the backstory in the 1980s, so it's got an 80s nostalgia. You hook me in there. So instead of 50s and 80s, early 90s like the original, we've got 80s and then more contemporary to 2 time periods. And I like it. The Georgie in the rain scene, all of that stuff works. The kids, the summertime magic, the adventure, the scares, into all that in part 1. Part 2 is a problem for me, almost from the beginning to the end. I had real hope for this movie, and I was excited when it came out. And coming out of the theater, I was like, yeah, you know. And then the more I've thought about it, you can see I only have the Blu-ray. I have the 4K of the first version. I have the 4K of Welcome to Derry. This one stands as a whole in this series to me, because the adult casting did not work for me at all. Not even close. There's 1 or 2 that are on there that I think are good, but this drops threads that need to be there and picks up threads that don't. There's really only 1 casting, maybe 2, that I like in here, and you can probably guess the 2 that they are. There's one that's a clear winner, and it's Bill Hader. But outside of that, although I could have seen going with Zachary Levi in that role, but I don't have a real problem with that one. It was a misfire for me. The CGI is a misfire at the end. Pennywise's final form video game boss isn't even scary as like a video game boss here. And the more you watch it, the less it holds up. I wanted to love this one more, so I was excited when I came out, but it has drifted down for me. I don't recommend this one at all, almost ever, unless you've just never seen it and you need to complete that in your mind. It's dropped that far for me. Oh boy, the next one is where the pitchforks, I think, start coming. I think everything's been maybe mostly easy till now, but from here on, it's going to be pitchforks for me. And listen, I'm a Quentin Tarantino fan, big one, and that's not in question and that's not changing, but Kill Bill, both of them. I just grabbed this one, but both of them, no. Just no. Like, being a fan of a filmmaker can make you generous, and we've seen that a lot with Nolan here lately with The Odyssey, I think. But it can make you generous to start with and excited, and ignore things that you shouldn't ignore, and kind of gloss over things that you didn't like, kind of paint you with rose-colored glasses. And for a while, that happened for me with Kill Bill. Now, you were never going to find this on an I love this movie list for me. But man, I can't hardly watch either of these movies now. I can't. Like, they're just, number one, he doesn't just take inspiration from films he loves. He reproduces a lot of those shot for shot. Composition, camera moves, music cues, the entire beat that he basically just takes. Lady Snowblood, Game of Death. I was trying to look this up. Other spaghetti westerns, Shaw Brothers catalog, 70s revenge cinema like Thriller, A Cruel Picture that I pointed out before. He's open about it, but how much he lifts borders on plagiarism at that point. And there's a honest difference between homage and assembly of things that you've seen before. This goes beyond citing your work here. It's so spot on. That kind of takes me out of it. And the honest part underneath all this is I'm just not a big chop socky guy. I never have been. And the whole story and the filmmaking is just not on my wavelength when it comes to that. That's the trap of a favorite director. You can end up defending a movie that you don't actually love because it came from someone who made you love so many other movies, right? And you love his style, you love what they do. And I think that happens a lot with Nolan. It happens a lot with Zack Snyder. And it happens a lot with Tarantino. It even happened to me to start with on this, but that lasted a very short amount of time, and I almost never. These are going to look pretty on my shelf. I'll keep them as part of my Tarantino catalog, but I will almost never rewatch these movies. All right, so the next one up is also going to get the pitchforks out, and I'm going to explain it, right? But it is Interstellar. It is. I know a lot of you just got really mad, but listen, I saw this one at the premiere in Hollywood at the legendary Cinerama Dome in 70 millimeter big curved screen, a room literally built for movies just like this. That's about as good as a first viewing as you're ever going to get. And I walked out of there like, man, that was awesome. It was my first trip to the Cinerama Dome. Like everything just floating on air, all of that. And you're like, man, what a masterpiece. And I've tried to rewatch this movie multiple times since then. And it's just never gotten there again. Just never has. And I thought long and hard about why that is. And part of it is probably the emotional workings that are going on underneath it here. The Zimmer organ, the docking sequence, all that. There's a lot of things in here that just, those are enormous swings. And in a room built for them, they are overwhelming. But on a TV, at even a big screen TV, at normal volume, noticing something else, it's just very different, right? It's just very different experience. And a lot of Nolan's movies are about an experience overall. So it's like you start to notice things that aren't as good about it versus like Inception. When I watch Inception, it's a spectacle too, but the more I watch Inception, the more I can get into it, right? It's one of my favorites of his, and it can survive your living room. It doesn't have to have the spectacle around it. And the ending of this movie is a problem overall as well. I still like it, okay? I can't get through it feeling the same way, but like versus the movie I saw at the Cinerama Dome turned out to be two very different things. I spent the better part of a decade confusing the memory of that theater and that experience with the quality of this film, and I freely admit that. That's a real thing that happens to a lot of us. You get caught up in the moment and the memory, and we don't love the movie as much as we love the memory and where we were sitting and the experience of when we saw it. And having to objectively go back and separate those things is something that's very different. A lot of people don't do. Interstellar, for me, just doesn't hold up. It gets bogged down in a lot of things. I don't care for the ending, and that's just how it is. I'm sorry, my Nolan bros. All right, now next up is one that is a favorite franchise of mine, at least the original two and one other movies, but I gotta take a shot at Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And Afterlife did something that I actually really loved. It brought the original cast back. Forget that monstrosity that was the 2016 film. That should never exist. But the Afterlife paid real homage to the original two films, to the original cast, and it did it with care. And you could feel it all the way through. Everything, Ecto 1 coming out of the barn, that big emotional sequence at the end, it was all earned. And you felt it. So I walked into Frozen Empire excited. You're going to get New York back, the firehouse, the original guys in the actual room that they were to start with. And I came out of the theater happy overall, like excited. It was fun. But then as you start to rewatch it and those moments fade that we were just talking about, things started actually bothering me way, way worse about this movie. The original characters actually get sidelined way too much and kind of mocked and kind of taken for granted. Murray, Aykroyd, Hudson, they're all in there, and the film keeps steering away from them in order to push McKenna Grace's character harder and harder and harder. And she's good, and like her character makes sense, but they even push back Finn Wolfhard, who is like the spitting image in some ways of Egon. Like they push him back too. They push Paul Rudd back, and they just they throw McKenna Grace in your face, and you're left with like, man, we should have been with the characters that really mattered in the spaces they created and the things that they have experienced. And when you look at it, there's also way too much green screen in this movie. They could have shot in real locations in New York. They could have done that, and they didn't. Those places exist, and yet most of this stuff, they just built a little bit of stage in front, and then everything else was green screen behind it. And that takes away from the real feel of the original movies and stuff. So the more I watch this, and then there's other characters that were jammed in from like the original movie that were from Afterlife, where they were across the country. It made no sense for them to be there. They were pushed in there for other reasons. So actually, the more I watch this movie, the less I like it. And I hope Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd are right. They're going to do a final film that focuses on those guys more. I really hope that happens so that they can close out their story properly and that it doesn't end with this. All right, we are at the top two, and here we go. No beating around the bush. Get your pitchforks out, your torches, all that stuff. It's Avengers Endgame. Listen, I know a lot of you in the comment section are ticked off right now. He doesn't like it. Of course I got swept up in this movie. Everybody that saw it did. Because you were at the end of like all these years of buildup when Marvel was doing things mostly the right way, and Infinity War was an epic, awesome achievement of a movie. And all those years of that, they all funneled into this, and it was so exciting, and the on your left moment from Cap and all of that is just like, yeah. But then as the years go by and the theater is gone and you look back at what this started or what this caused, as a piece of storytelling, this thing is not close to Infinity War. It absolutely is not. Infinity War is somehow tighter. It's better. It's just a better film. There's no question about it. Thanos driving the scene, Thor, all of the characters done the right way, the impact of the end of it, all of that. This movie really needs the final act to try to save the goodwill. And then here's the argument that nobody wants to talk about. I think Endgame is where the wheels started to come off for Marvel. Not Phase 4, but actually Endgame, because the multiverse door kind of opens because of this. It led to that out of nowhere, really, because of the whole Cap situation and lots of other things. And the legacy that it hands off starts some other bad things in motion, where we get the girl bossing this, and that all started right here with the girls get it done moment that made no sense because it required those characters be teleporting to one spot all of a sudden on the battlefield, and it made absolutely no sense. It emasculated Spider-Man and lots of other things. Those problems started right here. They absolutely did. And so I hold Endgame responsible for that. It felt like a triumph at the time because of the buildup and everything that we had put in and the moments that hit hard, but it really created a machine that has been eating and destroying itself ever since, and I blame Endgame. All right, so this number one puts my money where my mouth is, because it is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And listen, everybody who watches this channel knows that I am a massive Spielberg fan. 100%. He's an inspiration to me. He always has been since I was a kid. This one's different, though, from everything else on this list, because it is on this list for a whole different reason. Being a Spielberg guy for me is never going to change, even when I got to criticize him, but I will criticize him, which makes me different than a lot of people who have their fans, their fandom of directors. I still love this film. The craft is astonishing. The effects work is awesome. The score, all of that, the mashed potatoes, the notes, the Devil's Tower. I like it all. The final sequence, everything I still love about this movie. But here's the exact problem I have. Since I became a father, this movie has changed for me big time, because Roy walks away from his wife, his kids, his entire life. He walks up that ramp and gets on that ship and leaves them. No resolution, no goodbye that means anything at all, nothing. And the movie treats it as a transcendence, as something that's okay, a man finally answering the bigger call than himself. And when I watch that, you can make that argument to yourself, especially if you don't have a family and you're not a father. But I watch it now and I think about my kids and my family, and I'm like, hell no, that's not right. No. That is the thing about this list, and that's why I saved it for last. This thing isn't beautiful ending anymore. It feels wrong. And that changes this movie completely for me, even as a massive Spielberg fan. And that's the thing about this list. It's not that every movie gets worse every time. Dumb and Dumber didn't necessarily get less funny objectively. Close Encounters didn't get less beautiful. I changed. And you see different things in the same movie that were always there, right? You just see different things at different points in your life. And I became somebody's father. And when that happened, this movie doesn't feel the same. The lights go down. I would have rewrote the entire ending on this. Movies are fixed, honestly. We are the variable. So there you go. 10 movies that I used to like a whole lot more than I like them now. And so now it is your turn. Give me movies that don't hold up for you the same way, and not ones to just be edgy and say, oh, I don't like Star Wars anymore, like just to try to goad at people or anything. Give me your honest opinion and let me know why, because I'm going to read the comments, and I hope you enjoyed this. Lots of big videos coming. Stay here on the channel. Spooky season's on its way. Big essays, big lists, recommendations, confession videos, deep dives, nostalgia. It is all here because I love movies even when I don't love them the same anymore. And that's what I got for you this time. Like, subscribe, hype it up. That really helps out the channel. Share it, get it out there, expand the pop culture family. I really do appreciate it. And if you'd like to help a little bit more, my Patreon link is in the description of every video. You'll get your name and lights on the video, plus special members only videos, and everything helps out the channel, and I really do appreciate it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.